Let's talk about food. What is a processed food?
So processed food, actually, the definition is a lot more broad than most people think about processed food being. So anything frozen is a processed food. Anything that is canned is a processed food. Anything that is pasteurized is a processed food. Anything that is in a form that's other than what it grew out of the ground immediately from is processed. And so we think about processed foods and kind of mostly people think, oh, it's processed, that's bad. But there are a lot of processing things that just mean we have a safe food supply. And one of my favorites is frozen fruits and vegetables, because it makes it so people get fruits and vegetables in without having to always keep fresh on hand, which most people honestly don't have time to shop every couple of days for fresh produce. So there's a lot of good things that are processed.
So the kefir I drank this morning before coming in was processed.
That is definitely processed.
How is that different from ultra-processed?
Ultra-processed, when we look at that definition, it's something that has been changed so much that it has things in it that we don't necessarily want in our bodies. To some extent. There are some ultra-processed foods that can be really good choices. For example, a protein shake can be a great choice for an older person who is struggling to get in enough protein and getting in all of those vitamins and minerals. But the ones we kind of think about and want to avoid are the things like the sodas, the chips, the fast food, the prepackaged, ready-to-eat, things that keep a long time. And so those things that have lots of sugar, lots of saturated fat, salt, additives, artificial ingredients are the ones that seem to be having some negative health impacts.
And we talked about some of those negative health impacts. If you could summarize, what are they?
So some of the obvious ones are we're gaining a lot of weight because you can eat a lot of calories in ultra-processed foods without noticing. And so that leads to obesity, metabolic syndrome, diabetes, those kinds of things. They can also affect heart disease and cancer. And then things like anxiety and depression, which might be something that we should kind of consider because there's a lot of that going around. Things that are impactful for the areas that we're kind of focusing in are on our bones. So we're having decreased bone mineral density, decreased bone mineral content, increased rates of, obviously with that osteoporosis, but also osteoarthritis and in some cases lumbar stenosis.
I think that most people probably know or have some idea that ultra-processed foods aren't necessarily good for them. Why do people consume them so much? Why do we eat so much processed foods?
They are everywhere. It makes it so easy because you walk into a store and those ultra-processed foods are right there, front and center. They smell good. They taste good. They are colorful. They have all of these formulations that make them somewhat addictive or challenging to not just want to keep eating or drinking. You think about sodas, they are manufactured to maximize the amount of sugar in just before the point where you think, oh, that's too sweet, I don't want to drink it. So there's a lot to that. It's also really easy. If you just go pick something up and eat it, you don't even have to worry about doing any prep, and that's very attractive for a lot of people.
What can be done? I mean, what chance do we have against this ultra-processed food world that we live in that is this convenient, constant barrage of food that's probably not very good for us that we sort of can't stop eating? What can be done? Is it are we just a lost cause here, or are there things
Sometimes
that
we might feel like a lost cause, right? I think one of the main things is to remember that there are some healthy food choices that can also be easy. And you think about, oh, I don't want to prep all of that for dinner. Okay, dumping some frozen vegetables into a steamer and cooking them is really pretty fast and easy. Grabbing an apple on your way out the door is a very fast, easy kind of a thing to do. And so thinking about those things in terms of, okay, what can I do that's easy for me and then still healthy and more of a whole, less processed kind of a food, and just building those in gradually, taking those baby steps to move forward to make those little bit healthier choices. And remembering that it's the ultra-processed effect, not necessarily the processed effect, that we want to avoid. So grabbing a can of beans to put into your meal is a great choice, and it doesn't take nearly as long as soaking and then cooking and preparing. So use those things that are healthy shortcuts to make your meals a little bit easier to fix.
I think we've recommended patients counsel with you many times, and some of them do it, and many of them just, they don't do it. But what I wish I could just help people understand is it is a conversation about incrementally changing habits as much as it is education about the vitamin B12 content in particular foods that you should get into your diet. What does your morning routine look like? How are you getting good nutrition into your life without just being reliant on what is most convenient in the moment? And I think that for us to live a healthy lifestyle in today's world, it has to be deliberate. It has to be thoughtful, and it has to be something that you incrementally build better and better habits into your routine so that you're thinking ahead. I'm not going to have time to prepare a meal then. How am I going to deal with that? Where are my healthy food options accessible before I get so starving I'm just going to eat something that's not healthy or whatever? And I think you've done a very good job with counseling with the patients that have been willing to meet, and doing so in a completely non-judgmental way, and just say, look, what can we make a small difference that would make an improvement, and then building on that. So I really think that the fundamentals to healthy living are having good relationships, being active and moving, and then eating healthy food. And if people were to really hone in on those three things, our entire society would be way healthier. It doesn't cost a lot of money. It doesn't require some government policy or new magic pill or procedure. It really is a simple, fundamental way of thinking about, can we change our daily habits to be healthier? And we hope to continue that conversation and really encourage people to look at it that way, because the consequences of just doing what's easy in the moment and falling into these patterns that are reinforced by savvy marketing and sales strategies are devastating.
They are. And I think as we make those healthier choices, we feel better. And as you can look back and say, oh, wow, I feel a lot better now that I am including a little bit more healthy food in my diet. It makes you realize, I don't want to go back to what I was doing. Yeah. And so trying and making those little steps moving forward is motivating, because we do feel better.
Thank you for presenting and for all that you do and helping us to remember to eat better and do better. So
thank you.